BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer. Hi, welcome everyone to this new appointment of a 50 minutes of experience. And today I'm with Massimiliano Marsiglietti from Modena, Italy. And welcome, Massimiliano.
Thank you, Emiliano, and welcome to you too.
So today I would love to discover your picture because I'm really interested in this last series of picture you are publishing about instant picture, but especially these black and white are so particular, nice and clear. And I think they hide also something really interesting about your vision of the world. Can you explain a bit us about yourself and about the process of your photographic vision?
Of course. Well, I'm a bit of a of an old fart because I'm from the 70s and from the start of the 70s, and my travel and my adventure in photography started when I was young, when I was in secondary school, when every school had a darkroom, and the local photographers came to gift us with their knowledge and to help us understand the chemical processes and everything about photography, composition and tips, flash and artificial lights and everything in between. At the time, of course, I didn't have much of a disposable income, so I could only work with whatever the school provided me and with what my parents had in the house at the time. Growing up, I always kept photography as a side project of mine because life brought me to other shores, and I work in the information technology field, and but photography has always helped me, even when the life wasn't so good to me, to be a reference point. And for that reason, I kept photographing, even if only for myself and for a few people with me. My passion for instant photography comes from the fact that I'm very much into digital photography as anybody else, about mobile phones and digital cameras. Also help some professional photographer when they ask me, pro bono of course, because I always like to do whatever I think it's best for the project. So I trade some freedom for for the money, which I don't get, but that makes me happier because my main job already gives me whatever I need. The digital photography is something that I like very much, but it gets in the way sometimes, the process, because whenever you do something with digital photography, or sometimes even in the darkroom with the film photography, whatever you saw in the camera gets diluted by whatever you do in the darkroom or with the Photoshop, even if it's a matter of improving. So I prefer much nowadays for my personal projects to shoot instant photography, so that whatever I see is what gets recorded. Of course, photography is always an illusion because you get just a bit of a frame of everything is right in front of you, but looking at what I am looking at what I am seeing, and then understanding what I saw by looking at the picture. It's a no compromise process, and I like to keep it as straight as possible. for that reason, I had to build a bit of a monster of a camera because I came in I got to know a guy who could modify a Mamiya Universal, which is a manual camera. It has no battery. It has no aid. You have to have your own light meter. And with that camera, I shoot my Instax not perfect, but I try to be as faithful as possible to my vision with whatever the medium allows me. And therefore, I usually try to shoot a picture as opposed to the low fidelity, which you can see normally with the instant photography, which is all the rage now. Because that lets me look at the world as it is, as close as possible. Perhaps in the future, I will explore some effects, some lo-fi stuff, but right now I'm more interested in looking at the world as I see it. It's interesting because, for example, I got serious problems with my eyes. I got a transplant. I got several surgeries, and I was not sure what was if I was looking at the world the same way I was looking at it beforehand. So I wanted something very faithful, and to see what I missed and what I was actually looking at. Also, this when I got some issues in my life, as everybody, like divorce, stuff like that. But the photography helped me understand how I was looking, for example, at my kids or at other people, to see how my glaze changed before because of this of these issues in my life. I cannot call them perhaps issues or improvement, just changes. And whatever you see on nomography, which is where I think also my pictures or on Instagram, reflect this, reflect the fact that I am trying to see why am I looking at that, for example, at a statue or a landscape or a person, and why do I want to make a portrait the way I do. And by looking at the picture, I'm able to understand what is my process of thought in that moment. That's why I only have one lens for this camera, and is a lens that is mostly similar to what the human eye can see. So it's a 40 millimeters in full frame equivalence. And I don't plan to use anything else because of that. Monochrome pictures are interesting in instant photography to me because, of course, they let you, they put some more constraints to photography. So whenever I see something, it's easier just to shoot monochrome, because that way I don't have to much to leave out, for example, a noisy color that annoys me. And also because they got a clarity of vision, they allow me a clarity of vision that color usually doesn't. When I shoot color, I try to follow the color. And perhaps I don't like green color inside a blue prevalent scene, prevalently blue scene. So I try to shoot something else or to remove something. Instead, with monochrome, I can just focus on what I'm seeing and why I'm shooting that.
Yes, so really interesting what you said until now. And instead of that, I was also watching your pictures, and I really feel like I like a lot your vision of the architecture and the landscape. And more than landscape, I will say you can really take position in the vision of the nature. I really like that because it's not a quite common vision of the nature. So I like how do you take the perspective and you mix the elements, or in some case you just cut off everything and you focus on the shadows. This is really interesting, and in a way, I also see Modena in a totally different way that I've seen before. I was there probably 2 times in my life, but yeah, I didn't see that vision of that place in this way, and this is so particularly nice, and I think give a lot of value to our world of photography. And I'm curious to know that yeah, you told me yeah you was living in also in other countries, and when you was living in other countries, your inspiration in photography was empowered in a way, or you feel more yourself there in your city?
Well, I try to stay faithful to to my concept of trying to photograph what I am seeing to see what I am photographing. Therefore, I just go with the flow. And I've been in the USA, been to UK, in France, several places, and I'm always curious about what I am looking at, because it's something that I'm never aware of. So you could say that yes, in a way, when I'm in a place that um, is very different from my home, that perhaps catches my attention. And after the few first pictures, I understand that I'm acting as a tourist. So the first pictures let me know that I must change my glaze, my eye, and I need to focus on something else, not just okay, I'm here for the first time. And that usually also improves my life, because you know that you're just super acting superficially, and being happy of whatever is thrown at your eye. So this lets me go deeper, and in places that I would not be if I didn't look at those first pictures. For example, in the USA, I took a few pictures of a rodeo, and all I was seeing was horses and people. Then I understood that I wasn't really looking at the right stuff. So I went and photographed the people who work there. Usually, there are people who have accidents with the animals and then remain handicapped, or perhaps their career didn't go as it should. So I got to go to spend some time with them, photographing them, and it was the best time I had there. Looking at the show was cool, but you don't get something that stays with you the whole life. Viewing and talking with those people instead did. So I'm happy that everywhere I go, I try to this vision. Perhaps I understand you. What is the picture that struck you? Perhaps it was the one of the kids kindergarten, the kid wooden horse that you were talking about, or perhaps the ruins in that castle. But in both the what was driving me in hindsight was my thinking always about my situation. And in one of those pictures, where that with the wooden horse, I was thinking to my kids, and the fact that when I was younger and they were small kids, we went to such parks and kindergarten to play, but now they're grown up. So whenever I see those signs and those items, to me they're dead, because I don't have a kid anymore to bring that. So it's more of a, how can I say, uh, shadows and lights, and an avatar, a remain of what once was for me, which was Lothar, to play with them, and also the ruins of the castle. uh, I decided to shoot the ruins, but then there's a line that brings you to a tower of that very same castle, which is still instead staying strong, and then the landscape in front of that. And that to me seems like what I feel. I mean, closer to my heart. I'm a bit of of a minefield and rubbles everywhere. But then what people see is a solid, a rock solid tower and a beautiful landscape. And that reminds me, that was cool to see. Wow, it's a landscape, but in reality, it's a portrait of myself, which I'm in all the pictures, but never explicitly. And
And
there's one picture that I did.
I wanted
Please.
to ask you a last question before to stop our recording podcast.
Sure.
That you said something really interesting I didn't know before. You said in every school there was a dark room, and I didn't know that before. Yeah, as you can understand, I'm from 90, and yeah, I grew up in Naples, and I never saw any dark room in school. And this is really interesting what you said, because this come to my mind this question to ask you: what do you think? Actually, photography is something every one of us can have in our hand via our smartphone. And do you think there is something probably will be good to have again some darkroom or some courses they are insert inside of our education about photography in the school?
Well, in the USA, I know for sure that there still is the use of the darkroom in the schools, because it's a medium after all. So digital is ubiquitous, and of course it's convenient. But it's just one aspect of photography, and I think yes, that it could be beneficial also for every country to have darkrooms readily available. There are projects for that to be true. For example, in Italy, there are a few projects online where you can locate on a map where you can find a darkroom. It's actually very easy to develop your own photographs, and it's yes, it's a process that is equivalent to digital photography in one way, because you manipulate whatever you shot, and then you create a print. But what I really like is that in the end you cannot avoid but producing a print. Scanning, of course, is not very. I mean, we all do that, but it's only as a way of showing you something that in the end means to be printed, and I like that because when you have a digital picture, it's like a drop in the river. When you have pictures, printed pictures, you have to do something with them. For example, sometimes I exhibit them on public places. I had a personal exhibition that Comune di Modena allowed me to do in one of the public places. And sometimes your printed pictures ask you to be put in the wild or to be gifted to someone. And that is, of course, very good for a photographer, because what you had to say remains and tells something to someone else. When you're on Instagram, you're there for the likes to get yourself known to the public. But of course, it's just a way of promotion. When you print something and you give to someone, perhaps even yourself, you have to decide if you want to keep one picture or make space for another. And it's an interesting process because it makes you grow as a person, and is more personal as of a gift to give someone or to exchange with other photographers to how can I say, than just a look at what I did. This is something I shot and I printed for you.
I totally agree with you. I mean, when you print something down, I was used to print postcard of my pictures during my traveling, and that was every person I was meeting in the bus, in the train, in the street. Yeah, you know, there are these moments that you meet these people. They're taking the train with you, the same train, or they go in a different countries. I was giving to them a postcard. I was writing something to them, and the really nice part, and really also funny in a way, that I remember. I was some years ago in Genoa, and I just put some postcard with some things I wrote down in a different building without knowing anyone, you know. And I was walking in the street. I was there just for one day, and one night I was a bit angry of something sweet, and then I went to someone was doing a croissant in the night, and I met. I mean, there was some guys who was harassing a girl, and yeah, I said something to them, and then I stopped, you know, this kind of fight, and this girl was with another girl and a guy, and we stopped to talk there at this croissant shop, and yeah, after some words, after I've said to them, I was a photographer, my name, some one of them take out from the bag the postcard and say, ah, this morning I found this in my bin. I was so fucking, you know, like, what the fuck, you know? And this is so cool. And it happened not one time to me, happened different times, several times, that I gave a postcard to people in Europe, and people from New York contacted me and said, yeah, I have
Wow.
your postcard. And same way, yeah, years ago I was doing a lot of swapping of postcard everywhere in the world, and I like it a lot, that things that I could just send my picture via postcard as a postcard to the people in the world. Was a real way for me to really share my vision. Anyway,
Just one more thing. Yeah,
yeah,
I think that with instant photography, this is brought to the next level, because whenever I'm around photographing with my Mamiya, which is something that is not to be seen outside of me nowadays, most people stop me, or a few people stop me and ask me about that, and I always make a portrait to them and then give it to them. This is something that really strikes them, and I know for sure, because some of them I'm still in contact, that they have this as a precious memory. And I always tell them, but this is not something I invented. You can do that every day. You can have someone take a picture of you, and you should, because 10 years from now, you will not remember how you and your beloved one are. So you should always take a picture and print, and take it somewhere in your home.
yeah, totally agree. Thank you a lot for this talking, Massimiliano, and
Thanks to you.
everything about you will be in this description of the podcast, and I hope people can connect with you and see your really interesting pictures you show on Lomography and Instagram. And I hope you have a really great day.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Learn more about our project at allmylinks.com/BerlinExplorer, or visit our Instagram and follow BerlinExplorer project.